Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's presentation of the Ostomy Academy put on by the United Ostomy Association of America. I'm Steve Van Dievender with my co-host Amy Lee Reese. We welcome you to tonight's version of our Ostomy Academy. What is the Ostomy Academy? It's a quarterly production that we put on, sponsored again by the United Ostomy Association, to provide education on a variety of subjects. Tonight is a unique one. It was one of the topics that were greatly appreciated at the Ostomy Academy, at the conference that we had in Houston 2 years ago. It was one of the highlights where it was people were pouring out the doors trying to see it. So we decided to try this. We have two excellent speakers for you tonight. So we're really looking forward to that. Like I said, the Ostomy Academy is put on quarterly and it is recorded. So for some, if by some stretch that you might not be able to stay on for the whole thing, or you like it so well that you want to tell somebody else about it, you can always go to ostomy.org, where it is on the UOAA website, and then go to events, and you will be able to find tonight's presentation. So that's kind of a little bit about what Ostomy Academy is. We normally have it every quarter, so our next one will be in May. We will reserve the right to announce what that topic is going to be at this point in time, but our next one will be in May. This time, I want to introduce my co-host, Amy Lee Reese, who will introduce our speakers. So, Amy, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that you're here with us. Welcome to Ostomy Academy. I am on the board of directors for UOAA, and I'm excited to share in this learning experience tonight. As we were preparing for this topic, I had some reflection personally. This is my 13th year anniversary of my ostomy. That was just a couple weeks ago. So I had a picture I wanted to share. This is a great reminder of all that I've been through personally, but also to kind of get in the mindset of a new ostomy and the things that go through your head when you're worried about your ostomy surgery. And so with this topic tonight, we're going to explore learning about some new mindset and some new tips and tricks for adjustment, because as we know, once the physical healing is done, sometimes there's still emotional and mental healing that needs to continue. So I'm really glad to be here with you all tonight. I want to thank those of you who registered and pre-submitted questions. We'll be sure to get to some of those at our question and answer section. And then the people that are here joining us live, we want a robust conversation in the chat. Liz Hiles, my dear friend, is the moderator tonight. So we're going to be having a great chat and questions for our speakers that we're going to save some time at the end to get to those. And I also wanted to give a warm welcome. Like Steve said, this is recorded. So if you're joining us on a recording, welcome to you as well. Our topic for this Ostomy Academy is Reflections in the Mirror, feeling confident with your ostomy. And body image can be tricky, but it doesn't have to hold you back. In this webinar, we're going to talk about the ups and downs of body image and how to feel good in your own skin, ostomy and all. We'll share real stories, practical tips, and a few laughs to remind you that you are not alone. We're so glad that you've joined us for this down-to-earth, honest talk about what it really means to show up for yourself. We're going to also have a 30-day challenge to help take what we discuss and put it into action and keep the conversation and the confidence going all month long. So our speakers are going to share more about this a little later. So I'm going to introduce LeeAnne Hayden and Ryan Van Voorhis. Coming out, guys. Hello, hello, welcome.
Hi.
So LeeAnne is a dedicated speaker, passionate podcaster, and advocate for ostomates. Through her podcast, The Beautiful Bag, she shares personal stories and practical advice to support and uplift the ostomy community. To quote LeeAnne, I believe that everyone has a unique story and that no matter what life throws at us, we all matter and can make a difference. Ryan's battle with Crohn's disease started as a teenager, and it took years to get under control. Despite living with Crohn's disease and a permanent ostomy, Ryan has used his professional and personal journey to educate and advocate for others like him. In 2017, he and his best friend created New Dude Food, an in-home private chef company located in Chicago, Illinois. Again, welcome.
Thank you, and thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you all take it away.
All right. We love it. I love it. Love it. Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. And as Amy said, Liz is in the chat. So if you guys will let us know, where are you tuning in from? Message it, put it in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from so we can start to say hello to some of you. We'd love to get to know you personally. Right, Ryan?
That's right.
That's what it's about. It's about community. And that's what we really built here. So tonight we're going to go through just a little presentation. We're going to tell you a little bit about each of us, what we've gone through ourselves, how long we've been in our ostomies, and what we did to really start to build our confidence. Ryan and I are a lot alike in a lot of ways. And I think that's why we've connected so well. So Ed is in the background. If you can bring up the presentation, we're just going to do a little bit of a presentation, and then we're going to get into questions and answers. Because guys, I typed out your questions, or I printed out all your questions, and we're even going to get to those too. So hello, Christina from Kansas City, Missouri. It's so good to have you here. And guys, seriously, let us know where you're from. We really want to know this. So today's presentation is Reflections in the Mirror, Feeling Confident in Your Ostomy. Living life as it is, we all deal with confidence issues, whether you're in an ostomy or you're not. That's just something that's natural. So if you hit the next slide, who are we? Right? Who are we? Why are we here? What are we doing? Well, my name is LeeAnne Hayden. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I know I'm only 35. Don't let it fool you. No, just kidding. But I am also a sarcoma cancer survivor, and I'm going to tell my story in a little bit. And I'm also, as Amy said, the host and creator of the Beautiful Bag podcast. If you want to hear other stories, you can always listen in to their stories. I have them on YouTube and everywhere. I'm also an entrepreneur. I like making money. I like doing my side hustle stuff. And I like working from home. And I'm also a Hollister ambassador. And Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, but you have an anniversary today also, though.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot. How could I forget it? Thanks for the reminder. Yeah. Today, guys, and give me some claps and high fives in those comments because I need them. Today is my 9th year stomaversary. So it was probably around now that I was being wheeled out of a 9-hour surgery. So I, when preparing for this, and having today as my anniversary, it just really brought back, what was it like when I first woke up? What was it like when I first went home? You know, and what have the last 9 years really looked like? So thanks for the reminder.
I know, for sure. Not to overshadow your announcement, but mine stomaversary will be in May, and I miscounted the other day. I think I'm going to be 22 years.
Whoa!
That will be. I just dated myself. I did, but that will be me living equally as long with it, without it at that point. This year, when it'll be my 22nd anniversary. So I've had it a long time. So for me, going back to the original surgery, it was junior year of college. You know, I've had so much life experience since then, but I was really excited to come on here and share my journey and talk with you about some tips and tricks. And so for me, my journey did start, young as a teenager due to Crohn's disease. Was really bad at the time. Doctors just really could never get under control. All that to say, finally, I had the surgery, and that changed my life from that instant moving forward. So from that viewpoint and moving forward, use that to pursue a career in social work. I did child abuse and neglect work here in Chicago for about 15 years. And then during that did volunteer work with Crohn's and Colitis Foundation through their Camp Oasis and things like that. And that's really what spurred me to even go down this journey with you. And that's how even we connected in this community, is just through not only through ostomies, but just like-minded people who didn't let the disease or the stigma or the stoma kind of define us. So finally moving on, New Dude Food is a private chef company I started here in Chicago, not super related to Crohn's, but it is centered on healthy eating and nude ingredients. And of course, a lot of my menus and background it's always related to, you know, my Crohn's and ostomy and how, whether we have a disease or not, how we can eat better and live better. And so that's kind of what I've been up to lately.
I love that. I love that. And guys, go follow him on social. We're going to have our social handles on the end because he posts all the food that he cooks for people. And I am always starving for some reason when I'm going through and I see his stories and I'm like, I want that. I want that. Ryan can ship me that. I need that to eat tonight. So you want to make sure to follow him along for the food. And Ed, we'll take the next slide. So we're just going to go through life before our ostomies. And, you know, I was always an online business owner. I've been an online business owner for the last 15 years. Prior to that, I was in corporate sales. And gosh, back in 2014, the summer of 2014, I was working at the time for Tyra Banks. You see a picture of me with her. Yeah, the supermodel, her. So her and I were working together, and I was going to meet her for the very first time. And prior to that, for the fall, like for a year, it was almost like every 6 months, I was gaining 5 pounds. And I had done fitness competitions right before I turned 40. I wanted to prove something to myself, you know, and I did it. And I love to work out. And I think that's one thing that helps me with my body image is working out. But I was going to meet her and I was just feeling uncomfortable, and me gaining the 5 pounds every 6 months. My husband's like, I think you're allergic to wine. And I'm like, hush your mouth, because wine and me, we're friends, right? We get along. And so I went to the doctors. My girlfriend's like, you can't go meet Tyra Banks, feeling uncomfortable. You know, I was growing this belly, as you can see in the picture in the middle. I was growing this belly and things were just uncomfortable down there, right? And so I went to the doctors, and sorry guys, but ladies, you'll get this. I'm in the doctors. I got the feet in the stirrups. I'm laying down, and all of a sudden she goes, what the heck is that? And she actually used a swear word, but she said, what is that? And she tapped it. And what she was tapping after a few tests and surgeries and all of that was a sarcoma tumor. Now, mind you, when she said that, I'm like, what the heck is what? What are you talking about? So she's like, let's do some tests. I'm like, I'm going to see Tyra in a week. Can I still go? And she goes, yeah, wear compression socks, go have fun, go enjoy yourself. So I did that. And then I went through a few surgeries. First surgery was a full hysterectomy where they took everything because they thought it was a cyst and they went in to get it. Well, I woke up from that and they said, well, good news, bad news. Good news is you're here, you're alive, you're here, all your organs were fine. Bad news is whatever that is, it's not just a cyst, it's something bigger and it's way down deep in your pelvis floor. So I had to go through my colorectal surgeon, and I fought with them. Guys, I was like, I live in a bathing suit. When he told me it's a possibility for a stoma, I'm like, I don't want that. I'm going to smell, it's going to stink, I'm going to be ugly, I can't wear a swimsuit, I can't do anything. I almost got to the point where I said to my surgeon, listen, if you go in there and you think you're going to have to put me in an ostomy bag, sew me back up and let me think about it. And the man had to literally, he didn't yell, but he spoke loudly to me and said, your life is what I've been thinking about. If you wake up in an ostomy with a bag, that is because it's the only choice that I had. And I was one of those stubborn people. However, something clicked in me when he said that. And I'm like, oh, wait, I have 5 children. You know, I have a life at the time. At the time, I'm like, I have friends and I have family and I have a reason to be here. What am I worrying about? I Googled it. And this was before people were talking about it online, which I think has really helped over the years. But I Googled it and I'm like, I don't want that. However, I went through the surgery and I woke up out of the bag with the bag. I woke up and said to the doctor, I'm like, hey, did we get the FR? Sorry, not swearing, but did we get it? And he's like, yes, we got it. And then I was like, okay, cool. And he went to walk out and he turned around to look at me. Now, mind you, I'm still drugged out. He turned around to look at me and I was like, he goes, oh, I'll tell you later. And he walked out of the room and I was like, oh, I am in a bag. And my husband came in and he looked at me and this poor man, I didn't say, honey, I love you. I didn't say any of that stuff. I looked at him and went, I'm in a bag, aren't I? And he went, yes, you are. And I was like, oh, okay. I've got a life to live. So let's get to it. So that's kind of where my life went from what happened to diagnosis to waking up with it. It was a potential. It wasn't definite. So there was no markings. There was none of that stuff. And I went from being in a swimsuit thinking I could never do it again. And now I'm going to let Ryan tell you the story, and then I'll fill you in on how I got myself back into my baby.
Yeah. I can't wait to see how the story ends. No, but again, thank you for sharing. I think a part of the journey for all of us is just being able to talk about ourselves and our past and our journey. I think that's part of, as we get down this conversation that we're having about confidence, you know, a part of it, you just have to own it. You have to be okay with it. And it's hard. It takes time because everyone's experience is different too. And my diagnoses and experience started when I was 14. I was in grade school in a small town in central Illinois. Didn't really know what was going on. I just knew like I always had to like run home and be on the toilet for like an hour after school every single day. Diarrhea, blood, stool, all these symptoms. But, you know, I was embarrassed to talk about it. I didn't know what was wrong, and I wasn't going to tell my friends about it. My parents didn't know what was wrong. But eventually Crohn's was mentioned, and they figured out that I had a lot of inflammation in my colon. But and this was probably 30 years ago too. And so steroids were always like the first thing that I was always put on, really high doses of steroids, which work really well, but also have really bad side effects. So me being now in high school, I was, you know, I was on the soccer team and I was active. But then I would be put on these, you know, high medications, and I would have like all the balloon weight, and I'd blow up, and I'd have all these just fatigue issues, and it cost me, you know, continuing on the sports teams, and it cost me a lot of like my kind of adolescence in a way. So for me, kind of going through that, and then, you know, it not getting better on top of that, being an adolescent in high school when it's kind of hard enough, really hit me hard. So things just keep progressing. We try different medications. We try to get me off steroids. The picture on the right is like one of the last pictures, I think, before I had the surgery. I just, no matter what I ate, I had no bowel control. I was in the bathroom, like sitting on a toilet like 20 times a day, trying to go to college, trying to work. I remember delivering flowers at that time and having like a bucket in the car because if I had to go, like it was that bad. And so ultimately, all that to say, I had no quality of life. You know, surgery had been talked about before, but again, you know, doctors were sensitive to, you know, where I was in my life, being in college and social, and really just trying to prevent this life-changing, physically changing procedure, all the while my own personal life was just getting worse and worse and worse, that I didn't have any life to live. So, you know, it was, for me, it was still always an option, but it also was the last option. You know, the last medications I tried some of I tried Humira for a little bit. I tried Remicade. I had really bad reactions to it. I went into anaphylactic shock. So again, just the moral of that story was I just was avoiding it for so long, and ultimately it's what saved my life. And I wish now in hindsight I have gone through the surgery years ago, because I remember after my junior year of college, I knew I needed a couple months to be able to recover, be in the hospital, whatnot, and woke up from surgery feeling, you know, all kind of drugged and all kinds of questions. But there was this like new light, this new perspective that I had of all that pain was gone, all of that urgency, because a lot of it was associated with just my bowel movements. Really, you know, it was so diseased that anything I ate was causing immense pain, you know, all through my system. So for me, the bag was the last resort, but ultimately, like it saved my life. It got me back to who I wanted to be and who I was kind of pre Crohn's in my mind, physically and socially. Yeah. And so that was at 19. I've had some more surgeries since. is common. I've had a resection here. I've had some hernias there, which we can talk about a little more. But yeah, that's kind of my story leading up to getting the stoma.
Yeah, and that must have been tough for you as an adolescent, right? Having to going through, having to go to the bathroom, not being able to talk to anybody, not being able to explain it, and not being able to play the sports when you wanted to play the sports. So
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and now that's something that we'll talk about, and something I didn't have that I do now is just any type of support or community. I obviously had my parents who were there in the hospital. I had some great nurses, but there wasn't any support groups then. There wasn't any classmates outside of maybe like one or two close friends knew that like I was sick a lot, but they really, really didn't know. And so, it goes to show just how powerful supports in a community can be, because that was as much of a success to where I am now as the surgery was itself, as the community and the supports I had behind it, let alone the science and surgery to have the ostomy.
Exactly. Yeah. And Ed, we can go to the next slide. And this is the last slide, and then we're going to go to questions. But this is probably the one we're going to spend a lot of time on, and not about us, but what we did to overcome some things. And, I remember coming home from the hospital and worrying about, well, first I was in the hospital, and the woman went to change my bag for the very first time. The nurse came in, she wanted to change my bag for the first time. Now, I've been with my husband now for 23 years. So this was 9 years ago. I can't do math right now. I need a calculator. But anyways, so I remember being in the hospital, and the nurse came in to me and she went, okay, we're going to change your bag. I was 45 years old. And she went to start to change the bag. And my husband was in the room at the time in the hospital, and he got up and he left and he walked out. And my whole being, every fear that I had of getting the ostomy was coming right up, and it was coming up fast in that hospital room. It was, oh, he doesn't want to be here with me. Oh, he doesn't, I smell. Oh, he doesn't think I'm sexy anymore. Oh, like all that stuff was just piling in my head just because the man got up and walked out of the room. Now, we've been together for a long time, so we have got to discuss it. When he came back in and everything was changed, he came back in the room, and I just said, how come you left? I'm just curious, why did you leave? And he went, I was giving you privacy. It's not like you come in the bathroom when I'm sitting on the toilet taking a poo. Like, I was just giving you a little privacy. And I was like, oh, okay, because here's what went through my head. And he looked at me and goes, are you kidding me? I love you. I don't care about any of this stuff. Like, that's the last thing on my mind was that. Right? He goes, I was just giving you a little privacy. And I'm like, well, you should probably learn how to do this, because you may have to help me at some point in time. Right? So that was one of the very first initial things, was that communication. So starting to be able to communicate my own personal feelings of what I was feeling and going through, and then understanding what he was feeling on the other end of it was super helpful for me to be able to get through stuff. And I remember coming home from the hospital, and if you guys remember this, that hospital first shower after the hospital, you get in there and you're just like, get that hospital smell off you, like get clean. And guys, I did it bagless. First time in the shower with my stoma, bagless. I didn't know. Nobody really told me much. I just thought I could. So I remember I'm all clean, and I looked down and I had poo on my foot. And I remember hysterically crying, John, help, there's poo on my foot. The man comes running in. He's like, what's going on? What's the matter? And I'm like, there's poo on my foot, and it's clean, and I need help, and you need to go get a bag, and you need to cut the thing and the thing. And of course, they send you home with those beautiful clear bags that everybody loves to wear. So one-piece one. So he goes in and he cuts the hole and he brings it in, he puts it on. He's like, okay, here. And I go to put it on. I kid you not, the man did not just cut the flange, the man cut the plastic of the pouch as well. And all I remember saying was, this is not working. We need to do it right. So those were some of the things that him and I learned together, right? To get to this, to get to the other side and to fix it, and then there was things like clothing, and we're going to talk about clothing a lot. I remember going into my closet and sitting on my closet floor crying one day because I'm like, I can't wear my old clothes. I used to wear the low-rise jeans and really fitted stuff. And, you know, at first it takes a few months for your whole body to get back to normal as it is. And so I was just like, what is going on? And guys, don't forget to comment, like, tell us, like, what was the struggles that you had? What were some of the things that you went through? What are some of the things that you did to help support yourself? You know, so I remember going through that stuff. And for me, working out has always been confidence builder. Like, it's always been the thing that I've done. I've worked out since I was 16 years old. I had my first gym membership, and it's just something for me. Like, some of you might like to walk or run or play tennis or knit or whatever it is that you enjoy doing. It's for you, and it's your confidence builder. Working out for me always was mine, and I didn't know if I could do it again. And my doctor said after 6 weeks, you can start lifting weights, start slow and go steady, start slow. So I did. And I decided to do another fitness competition. You can see it in the picture, with my bag, blinged out, the works, didn't care, had my wings covering it, opened my wings. Everybody started crying when I was out, when I came out, the audience, because it was even on ESPN, the audience was standing up, clapping, ovations, whistling, screaming. I'm like, don't cry and slip and fall on your stripper shoes they make you wear. Like, just get across the stage. But it was such an empowering thing. And I didn't do that just for me and my confidence. I did it so that other people can see that no matter what's going on with your body, no matter what you look like or think you look like on the outside, you're beautiful no matter what. Your scars, your stoma, your bag, your wrinkles, the gray hairs that are coming in, all the things, you're beautiful just who you are. And I think it's very important for people to know that. And Ryan, I know you have a lot to say.
Good. No, I like it. Yeah. I mean, similar for me. It just, you know, again, there's, you know, once the physical scars healed and, you know, getting used to the bag took some time, I think, because, you know, then I felt healthy once I was cleared by a doctor to, you know, I was probably 19 at the time. So I was new to the gym, but just getting back into that routine and playing like intramural sports and things. It was always my body kind of letting me down in the beginning. Like it was, you know, me putting on, you know, it was the bag was always, I felt pretty good, like getting a bag on, but it was like for me, it was like the dehydration and the nutrition on my side, because I would just go. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I have half the system I used to, and then I'd be dehydrated. And it would just be a snowball effect that it took me a long time from a nutrition standpoint and just listening to my body that, like, all right, I can't live my life or be as go as I used to be. I have to make some kind of changes. And when I was able to figure that out, and it's still a struggle even in my day to day, or all of us now, making sure we're eating enough and drinking enough. But for me, those first couple of years were the hardest, just kind of changing some of my lifestyle and behaviors, because I was still doing social work. I was in just really active roles that I wasn't taking care of myself as well as I should have, needing the nutrition and hydration specifically. So when I got that under control, then I was able to go back to the gym. And again, like you said, slowly get back into a routine, do more weights. But it was still very, you know, I had to take it step by step. I had to go very slow. And I like to just like go in heavy and hard. And, you know, that's asking for problems. So I did have one hernia repair, not specifically due to lifting weights, but just probably just doing a little too much. So now I wear, and we'll talk about this with the confidence part, but like a stoma belt, and I wear like a brace when I do weights and things like that. But those were things that physically made me feel more confident, trying to be in shape and be active and kind of be that person that I was, regardless of an ostomy. You know, I wanted to be active, but for the longest time, physically being in pain. Pre-ostomy, I just physically, my body was just not letting me. And now post-ostomy, once I got this nutrition and hydration figured out, I was like, all right, now I have, I don't even have to stop to go to the bathroom. I can just keep running. I can keep working out, and I don't even have to go to take a break. So that was kind of my mentality. I got really focused, and on the mental side, it really made me think about things differently. And I even now, 20 years later, have to kind of remind myself when I get in a bad mood about like bad traffic or just something small in life, an inconvenience, remembering, how bad I felt, or these hard things that we've overcome in our lives. That's like, you know what, I can do these things. I can do hard things. And if you have a bad day or a bad moment, whatever, like for me personally, that's what tries to kind of keep myself in check, where it's like, all right, no, look, you're a survivor, you're a mentor, you're whoever you are. But you can do hard things, and kind of taking positives out of our experience, right? I mean, it's easy to sit there and get down on ourselves and not be able to, kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, or see an ostomy sometimes, as a positive thing, especially when it's a new experience. But for us, knowing that we've lived with it so long and personally have thrived with it, and it's opened so many doors, from a personal connection to just the community of supports, that we really, I think especially LeeAnne and I, try to find the silver lining in things, and try to see it as a positive and a motivator, or else kind of the disease wins, or else, the ostomy or the scars, again, easier said than done. And it takes a lot of time. We both had a lot of experience to build our confidence. It's not something that happens overnight, and it also changes. I'm sure, LeeAnne, you can tell some stories, but even myself, like going through, some flares or medication changes and new life things that it just, you built yourself up and you got in shape and you got ready for this pageant, or you got back in the sports team, and then maybe an injury happens or a hernia happens. And so I think that's something that I've dealt with personally, and I'm sure we all will, different than maybe an athlete or someone without an ostomy, is there's not often as many setbacks or roadblocks or things that we have to overcome as ostomates, but also a true testament to just like really staying confident and having these supports and things like the UOAA that brings us all together. Because the biggest thing is we're not alone, and that's my biggest thing that I've taken over the years, whether it's from family or supports like this, is that it takes like a village, right? So
it does take a village, and you're right with that. I remember, 9 years ago, we didn't have the things that we have now, or at least I didn't know about them. I think that's the biggest thing coming out of it. 9 years ago, I knew about UAA, but I really didn't understand what the extent of the support is that they give to people. I remember doing my very first Facebook Live. It was a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks after my surgery. And I'm like, this is back when Facebook Live was a brand new thing. And I remember going downstairs and had a picture of me in a bathing suit behind me. And I was like, guys, listen, I didn't appreciate her. Never mind what just happened to me. And I told my story on a Facebook Live, and I'm like, I didn't appreciate her. So we know without ostomies, we go through struggles, right? Everybody has confidence struggles. Everybody has that voice in their head that we're never good enough. We're not good enough. Something's wrong. And sometimes we just got to stop for a minute and be like, that voice, just tell it to stop talking to you. Like, stop. Because I hear it and I'm like, would I ever let that voice talk to my best friend like that? No, I'd probably yell at it, right? Or get in its face. Like, no, right? I'm from Boston, so I kind of have that attitude a little bit. But, some of those things, and now it's the community and I hope, guys, put in the comments your favorite platforms to use to find ostomates, to connect with other ostomates. I know UAA and the support groups are great, but are you using Facebook? Are you using TikTok? Are you going to YouTube? Are you going into Instagram? Like, put them in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from and where you're getting your support and meeting other ostomates, because Ryan's right. Community with this, we need to be able to Where can you go and get together with a group of people and talk about poop at dinner? Like, seriously, where can you go to see that? You can't, right?
Yeah, and I think to that point, regardless, I do a lot with the Camp Oasis with younger kids. I think even like I found like the more, again, it comes back to interpersonal, like the more you can talk about it yourself with your best friend or with your Crohn's or ostomic community, then it breaks down the stigma within each other and yourselves, that you can joke about poop jokes and all these things. And then I think that helps you, like, that transition to talking to, friends that don't know, or how to talk to teachers about it, or other professionals, or your boss, or dating, a significant other. But so I think all of those experiences, like, it's easy to talk about it with people that you're close with and know personally what you're going through. So I think that's one way also that a community is a great thing, is because you can go in, you walk into that group automatically getting confidence because you're already in the same group together, and it's not something that you need to be, it's already like a safe space, right? And so I think that's another thing I found out through these various ostomic communities, is just how supportive they can be, in not only you telling your own story, but then again, and finding ways and tips and tricks like we're going to talk about to tell other people, or significant others.
Exactly. Yes, for sure. And so, let's talk about those tips and tricks, and we can shut the slide down for now. And Ryan are just going to talk, because we're going to answer some questions, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we did personally. I know for myself, I journal every single morning. So there's a few big things that I do. I have my journals, they're color coded. But I wake up every morning, and the first thing I do is get my cup of coffee, sit down on my couch, grab my journal, and I start writing, like, whatever's on my mind, what I dreamt about, what is happening today. It's kind of like, Dear Diary. I just say, good morning, Father, because I have a big faith, right? So it's like, good morning, Father. Well, here's what's going on. Last night, I didn't sleep well. My bag ballooned, or I had to get up 10 times to pee, like, whatever it was, because those are some of the things that we have to do. And when we have lack of sleep too, that can really affect our confidence. So I just try to make sure before I go to bed at night, everything is empty and clean. Like, I clean it all out. I empty it all out. Also, I make sure that I know the foods. It's been 9 years, and Ryan talked about foods. I know the foods that are going to affect my bag, my pouch. I know the stuff that's going to end up giving it more ballooning and more gas. Like, for me, it's broccoli. If I eat broccoli and you're sitting across from me at the table, I am so sorry. No matter how good these filters are, that green mask from the mask is coming right at you. Like, there's no joke on that. But I've learned what foods to stay away from, or if I really want them, I'll have them earlier in the day, so that way my body has some time to process it through. And I know Ryan's in an ileostomy, I'm in a colostomy. So, we have different things that happen to us, within the systems that we're using. So one of my big things that I do is I journal. I know we talked about working out and all that, but I journal, and I try and get my 7 to 8 hours sleep every single night. Like, sleep is important. It's important for your brain. Ryan, what's a couple of things that you do for yourself?
I similar to journaling, it's more fitness related, but I've used like Whoop fitness trainer. So it's digital. It's like an armband you wear, tracks your sleep, your activity. So like journaling, it's just all automated. So I'll check it in the morning, and see how many hours I've slept. It'll give you kind of like a score rating based on like how active you are. So I can use it as like a fitness trainer, a well-being kind of trainer. It actually can track some of your respiration, your temperature. I wish I was as committed to like writing down in a journal. I love the idea of it. I just can't do it. But this is a good way that it still kind of keeps me on track. And then also I can look back after I know, like, have you ever had a bad night's sleep, or eaten something or drank something maybe I shouldn't have, that maybe caused me a little more discomfort or more bathroom visits throughout the night, and then snowballing that less sleep, things like that. So yeah, trying to keep track of foods and triggers and behaviors, whether it's through journaling or a fitness tracker, I think are super important to kind of pinpointing, what you're feeling, the good and the bad, right? If there's things that, from a workout you really felt good about, well, then you want to be able to repeat that behavior. On the flip side, if you keep a food journal and that you had something that didn't agree with you, then, all right, check that off the list. Maybe don't eat that next time. But I think that's a really good way to just kind of get dialed in, which and then in the long run can build your confidence, because you can go out on a date or be more social, knowing, certain foods and things like those are your, stable foods, or that, aren't going to cause a lot of discomfort. You're not going to go eat broccoli, or, some spicy wings or things like that. But so I use like a fitness journal kind of type app.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I have the Oura Ring. I don't have it on right now, but I wear the Oura Ring and it does the same thing. And my husband's traveling this week. He's in New Jersey. Guys, don't tell him. He's probably never going to watch this. So I can say this. He's gone for the night. I had 2 hours of deep sleep. The man wasn't snoring next to me. So I actually got 2 hours of deep sleep last night. So just prepared me, but don't tell him I said that. But some of the things so the journaling, and I know it's like, we can give you guys all kinds of things to do and all kinds of tips and tricks and all that other fun stuff. Don't think you need to do it all. I remember when I first started doing this mindset work, and I've been in the wellness industry, that's the entrepreneurial business stuff I've done for a very long time. So, my thing was, get up at 5 a.m., work out first thing, journal, meditate, and then they had a list of like 10 things. And I'm going, when am I going to go to work? Like, how am I going to live? Like, when am I going to feed myself or my kids if I do all this stuff? Like, the day's gone. So you don't have to do everything, but we'll give you some of the things and pick something and try a few things on and see what fits you best. But again, like Amy said in the beginning, we're going to give you guys a challenge to do for 30 days. And I hope that you at least do this one challenge. So I know there was a lot of questions, and we're going to get into, I know there's a bunch of questions that are coming through. So we're going to bring some of them up, but I wanted to talk about clothing, because clothing is really important. And I know that a lot of you have, questions about it. It was one of the biggest things. And Ryan, there was a bunch of stuff on hernias too, which I want you to touch on. But clothing, what do I wear to the gym? What do I wear on stage? Because I do a lot of speaking engagements now. What do I do standing up on stage in front of people? What do I wear? So for me, to go to the gym, I look like any other normal person in the gym, except I do have a shirt pretty much over my sports bra. All these young girls right now, they're out with their sports bras and their abs. I don't have abs anymore right now. I'm going to work on that because anyways, but I go to the gym. I have my t-shirt on, I have my leggings on, I'm all ready and I'm set to go to the gym. I don't wear a support belt because we have something, ladies, that men don't necessarily have. We got Spanx. We got Lululemons. We got those compression leggings that will hold everything in. And it's okay to hold it all in. At least it is for me. First, check with your doctors. Again, we're just giving you tips and tricks. Make sure you check with your doctor on a bunch of stuff first. However, I wear leggings. I wear Lululemon or Fabletics or whatever they are. And I have the nice tight compression ones and I put them on. Now I'm lucky. I'm in a colostomy bag. I have over the years pretty much trained my colon how to work a little bit. I get up and I have to empty it right away, right? Then I have my coffee and then things get moving and then I got to empty it again. And then I go to the gym and by then I'm like, I'm okay for a little bit. So I know my timing. So I go to the gym and I get my workout done. Have I had moments where I'm in the middle of a squat and all of a sudden stuff starts coming? It's happening. Yes, it does. You know what I do? I open up my leggings. I move it down. Yeah. Like nobody's looking at me. Everybody's just looking at themselves in the mirror. Nobody cares what I'm doing. I open up my leg. I move my leggings. I get that down. And then I just keep working out. I just keep lifting. Yes, there's a little bit of a bulge in my leggings. I don't care. Like, I don't care in that moment. I'm there to do something for myself and to work out. Now, to go out to dinner, I wear white pants. I wear tight dresses. I'm an 80s girl through and through. I was a teenager in the 80s. Like, I could show you pictures. My hair was huge. I had the blue eyeshadow, like all the things. I was one of those that put jeans on and I had to lay on my bed to button the jeans and get the clothes hanger to zip it up. So I'm used to tight clothes. And I still like the look. Kinda. So I do wear some fitted clothing and I do things like I wear tights under it to hold it together, or I'll wear Spanx to hold it together. I think about it as, you know what, everybody else, there's so many people wear Spanx. That's how the woman got rich, right? Like, I just wear the clothing that I normally would have worn prior. I still wear that. Now, if I get a bulge, I go to the bathroom and I take care of the bulge. Like, people like, what happens if you get a bulge and you're in your clothes? Guys, I just go in the bathroom and empty. I just go in the bathroom and I empty it, and I come back out and I go through it. Most bathrooms have spray. Just go empty, spray, and walk out. So those are some of the things that I do from a clothing perspective. Ryan, what about you?
Very similar. Not Spanx, but I should look into that. No, I use
Spanx for men. Lulu has some stuff.
No, I have like a stealth belt or some various kind of wraps that I use for sports and lifting, but also I know people that wear them 24/7 too. So that's that's probably a little more restrictive than like a Lululemon legging. But at the same time, for me though, that's I don't do any type of activity without wearing that now, because years like 2017, I think maybe that long ago, I did form a hernia after one of my surgeries. And so had a bulge on the opposite side of where my stoma sits. They had to go back in and do a repair. So I just don't want to go through that again. And I don't recommend that for anyone. So trust your doctors, listen to weight restrictions, trust your body, all those things. And so it goes kind of hand in hand with the confidence, having Spanx or something that just keeps you a little tighter, especially your midsection that because of surgeries, your abdominal walls weaken, you have maybe some bulging from the bag or from hernias. So these things naturally just give your body a hug and ultimately protect you, but just even having them on make you feel a little more confident, myself included. And so for those workouts, or so those, I'll wear a tank top over that, or a cut off band tee or something. But like LeeAnne said, part of the confidence goes to knowing your routine. If you're working out in the morning, we're typically, our stomachs are maybe empty, do a little pre-workout coffee or meal or something. And for me, I know, like, if I get up and have a little snack or something, I'll go to the bathroom once before. And I do like hot yoga on HIIT classes. So, sure, sometimes there's been some output that comes in my bag, but one, the wrap is never restrictive enough that it's not going to prevent it from coming out. And two, it's so it fits me so well that I feel confident enough that even in a hot yoga class, if a seal would break or something would like leak, even having that wrap around me, and then on top of that, a t-shirt or something, that it keeps me so secure and confident that that's what keeps me going in class and motivating me to push harder or do more exercises or keep going to class with all these other normal people around me, because I can hang with them. I can do that. And honestly, unless I take my shirt off, which I do that also sometimes too, like, no one knows that we have these ostomies, or and so I think a lot of that was my big thing. And it took years. It's just like being okay with it and owning it myself. I know I talked about it earlier, but I remember early years, some of my, like, I'll tell this story really quickly. And this is probably what just gave me the most confidence in my whole ostomy experience. And it shows how powerful it was. So I was volunteering at the kids camp with Crohn's and colitis. I was one of maybe like two that even had an ostomy on site that year, but it's all like open swim. We go down the lake. I'm a counselor, and I didn't have any kids to be responsible for, so I was able to just go down and swim. So I go down, take my shirt off, just start walking right into the water and start enjoying free time, hanging out with other counselors and campers. And so great. I didn't think anything of it, but then I get out of the water, and one of the counselors relays the story to me that happened basically involving me. So this other kid had some scars, not even an ostomy or anything, but just was very self-conscious about his body and wasn't comfortable taking his swim shirt off or didn't want to get in the water. And here I am, just happened to be across the beach And that counselor just happened to look up and see me and was like, oh, look, Counselor Ryan, look at him. And, he's got scars and a hernia and an ostomy. And they saw me just kind of just living my life and getting in the water and not stopping. And somehow that gave this little camper the energy and the confidence to take his shirt off himself. All that to say, like, I didn't even know any of that happened until after the fact, but just me being comfortable enough in my own skin, an observer across the beach was able to like kind of have a positive moment from that. And for me, that just gave me a lot of personal confidence to be like, this is, I can only be as confident as I can, until I accept, that this disease or this stoma doesn't own me. And by kind of just normalizing it and putting it out there, for me, really gave me the confidence to walk down the beach and or down the street or on a sports team and people see my ostomy. It just, it's way more normalized, I think, for me, because I just learned to be a little more open about it. And I think, again, that takes years, and I think that takes practice and a lot of like interpersonal work and things like that. But again, we can get there. And I think the more we ourselves are accepting of it and open to talking about it, I think ultimately you will feel better and it doesn't kind of control you in a way either too. Does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense. And it's important. And you mentioned hot yoga, and I'm going to hot yoga in the morning. And I remember trying to do my very first hot yoga class. And my worry was, what if Ivan, my stoma, that's his name. What if Ivan makes a noise? What if he farts in the middle of class? Like, what if he starts to rumble in the middle of class? And I remember telling somebody, and they said to me, girl, and they're not even in an ostomy. And they're like, girl, I'm worried about that too. And I'm not in one of those, because we get in some of those positions and it's letting loose. Like, it's just, it happens, right? So whether you're in one or not. It happens. But we definitely want to get into your questions, because I guess there is a ton of them coming through. So Ed is in the background. So Ed, bring up some questions. Or here comes Steve. Here all right. Hey, Steve. Hey, guys. Come on back in. Steve and Amy.
Hey, all. Before we get to Jesse's question, there's been a lot of love coming at you both, Ryan and just, so great to have these conversations. You guys are being so vulnerable and real. And there's people on this broadcast that have just had their ostomy like less than a month. There's people that are established that have had it for years and years and years. Everyone is saying, though, how important this conversation is. We have Yuri joining us from Japan. We have someone coming from Nepal. Just, really, really a great community tonight. So we'll get to Jesse's question.
I love that. Thank you, anybody. Thank you for being here, everybody.
What is something you wish you knew sooner about managing the stoma? Anything that could have...
I got a quick one on this one.
All right, go Ryan.
For me, I think one of the most important things is just finding appliances and a product that works for you. There's so many different manufacturers. There's so many different things. I know personally, I went home with the doctor, the stoma nurse fit me with, and like, I used that for, I think, years without even thinking about any other products, even knowing about anything else. So times have changed. There's a lot of different supports. You shouldn't be leaving the hospital, hopefully, without connections to a stoma nurse and some providers and how to get products. But I think that the biggest thing for me was just being aware of up-to-date products and certain things, and everybody's body is different. And that's something that evolves as we get older and our body changes and our body shapes change. Certain, I use a one-piece system, for example, but that's just what really makes me feel confident. But I know a lot of people that use a two-piece, so all of these things, until you feel like really confident with the bag, like, again, it's hard to feel confident in the outside world if you don't even yourself feel confident. So I think that one of the most important things is testing out new products. Reach out to these different providers. They'll send you free samples. They want to help you, but also reach out to your community of people like us that have had experience. or, you know, have come from a different similar background and can give you like real life experience on why this brand works for me or what this type of bag. But overall for me, just up to date and knowing, you know, that you have the right, you know, appliance for your shape and your this and that, I think that's like step one. And like the most important thing that I wish I knew sooner was like, ask questions. If something doesn't fit right, ask a stoma nurse. You know, there's something that a product is out there to make you feel more confident, you know, you should get it.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that. I mean, I wear a 2-piece because that's what I like better, right? And that makes me feel better. So having that. So one of the things I wish I knew sooner about managing my stoma, one, I wish I knew sooner I wasn't alone, right? Because you come out of that and you really think that you're alone. When it comes to managing your stoma, knowing if it's new, it's going to be huge and it will shrink down. And then making sure that if you're having leaks, I've had a couple, but it was user error right here. Like this one right here, cut my flange a little too wide or whatever it was. Can't blame the companies for that, but leaks can happen, but they shouldn't. So knowing that if I should be maybe changing my flange every 3 days, or instead of waiting 5 or 6, there's a little hint of how I did it. You know, pushing that envelope, but managing it. Food. I think food and getting to really understand what foods my body can handle and what it's like coming out. Because some will come out a little looser, some will come out a little more solid. And getting your hydration in your body. Getting your hydration, and your hydration is going to be different whether you're, especially if you're in an ileostomy, and it'll also affect you if you're in a colostomy.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, we've got another question from Jesse again. What are some common differences in body image issues with men versus women?
Well, I'll tell you, I could be wrong, but I think men have a harder time with it. Sorry, guys. You know why? Because women, we talk, right? We talk about it. We got to let it all out and talk to whoever we can. And I think some of the different body image issues is, I think it's in general, whether we have a stoma or not, right? Not everybody's a size 2, not, you know, it's, and I'm glad nobody's a size, you know, people aren't just size 2s, you know, I'm definitely not. And, you know, looking at yourself in the mirror and just knowing who you are and loving yourself up here really can affect what you look like on the outside. It really is how you talk to yourself. Some of the issues that I had was, can I wear a bathing suit again? And I put on a bikini anyway, like, somebody asked me, they ask me. If they don't, they don't. Like, that's, I want the sun on my stomach is how I looked at it. And that's just what's going to happen. So, you know, Ryan, what do you say about, you know, body image?
I mean, I'm sure they're very similar. I mean, I think, like you said, you know, a lot of it is, you know, even with a wrap that I wear working out, even if I take my shirt off, it's really not more than some kind of high-waisted something, or so it still even like doesn't even really show that, you know, I even have my ostomy. If I take the wrap off, then obviously it shows, but it doesn't really, I don't think there's a lot of, I mean, I think it affects, you know, hernias between men and women and things, you know, I think a lot of the scars and things like that are very similar. So I don't know if there's any like super differences between men and females specifically, but to your point of just like, you know, I think the biggest thing from our ostomate perspective is I think I just remember from a new, like when I recently had it, or when I had it fresh, was that I'm like, everyone's going to know. I just assumed everyone's going to know. Everyone's going to know. They're going to hear the rustling on the bag. They're going to hear if it makes a toot. They're going to hear like in the ad. They're going to see it through my clothes. I think I just assumed that in my mind. I think that's kind of the mentality I had when I was new to it, because it was new to me too. So because it was something that I still every day know it's present on my body, and not a day goes by. But now it's just a part of me, and it's just like in my subconscious, right? And so I think from even just regardless of fitness, just I think it takes a while to just be comfortable with it from a fitness perspective, or just even just living with it personally, how it lays on your clothes. Because whether you're wearing like fitted clothes or a wrap, you probably can't tell just from walking by you're not going to be telling unless you're on a beach seeing LeeAnne in a bikini if she has an ostomy, and likewise for myself too. And so I think, you kind of have power over that on like how you want to give that to someone or let them see that side of you. So if you want to go to the beach and take your shirt off, like you have that power to own that and be confident in having that be on display. And if not, then you keep your shirt on, and like that's your power that you can kind of decide. And so when you use that, as you use your confidence to grow and be open to that like, I don't know, I'm rambling about it, but it really just has to be like, something that you grow into, because that now is part of your body. It's part of you now. So.
And I have one, like I wear a power outfit. Like I have a power outfit that I love the way I look in the outfit. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't always have to be about bathing suits.
Yeah.
But it's like, I have this outfit in my closet that I absolutely love. And so when I'm having one of those days, I'll go put that outfit on, and then I'll go look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, girl, you got this. We're going out today. Like whatever it is, and having that positive talk back to myself, because it's easy to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah.
So on this subject about talking about men and women, in my 27 years of being an ASG leader and also a certified visitor, I've talked to many patients, and I couldn't agree with you more, LeeAnne, about men being harder than women. I can't tell you the number of times I've heard a man say, "Oh, I'm just going to let my wife take care of this." And my answer to them was, "Did she wipe your butt before you had the surgery?" And that kind of startles them. And I know it's kind of harsh, but it kind of shakes them into the fact of that it's their responsibility to take care of. Actually, my wife kind of told me once it was time for her to quit taking care of mine. So that's kind of how that came about. Ryan, you mentioned about the stealth belt. There's been several questions come up about Spanx and that kind of thing. But the one thing that hasn't been mentioned yet that I am a huge believer in is the New Hope peristoma hernia belt. There's been a couple people that said that they've had problems with pancaking with using other devices. The one thing about the New Hope belt is it's open as far as around your pouch, but it still holds everything in. I mean, I have a very large peristoma hernia, and I've had many belts over the course of time as they have grown, but I'm a huge New Hope fan. And those folks are really great about being able to try to help you.
I'll have to check that out.
Also, some other comments that I've made and people have heard me talk here before: how you treat your ostomy on day one, how you do it at 1 week, how you do it at 1 month, how you do it at 1 year is an ever-evolving process. And as an ex-ostomy rep, I won't say what company because we're non-company here, but as a rep who talked to hundreds and hundreds of people in home patients and then in support groups. You've always got to try stuff. Nothing ever stays the same. We gain weight, we lose weight, we get more wrinkles, we get more creases, whatever the case is. So that's why manufacturers' catalogs are 100 pages long, because of all the different appliances that they make. So experiment, try to find out. And one of the most cardinal rules of sin, and LeeAnne, you kind of elated to this a little bit, measure your damn stoma and know what size it is. I can't tell you the number of patients that I've talked to. They call me and say, "Steve, I'm leaking." I say, "What size is your stoma?" And the answer is, "I don't know." Yeah. I mean, that is the most basic and the most important part of making sure that you get started on the right foot to make sure that your opening is correct. Whether it's a one piece, whether it's a two piece, then you can go into all kinds of things. But measure the damn stoma and know what size it is, so that when you call that nurse and say, "I'm having problems," and she's going to ask you that question. She or he is going to ask you, and that's something that you need to know. So anyway, one other thing, Bob, who's been on from Florida, he says, where can I volunteer? Man, there's all kinds of places out there to volunteer. But I'll tell you what, UOAA will take all the help we can get. So whether it be as a support group leader, whether it be as a member of a support group, whether it be as an advocate, there's all kinds of things you can do. So go on the website, ostomy.org. There's a little plug there. Or call the office, and the number's on the website. And those are some things that we all can do to be able to try to help one another. One thing I've learned of being an ostomy for 27 years, there is all kinds of help out there. It's just a matter of trying to find it. And this is one of the ways. I work with UOAA and I love the organization, but that's what we're trying to do, is to get the word out that having an ostomy is not the end of the line. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm a walking example. 27 years ago, they told my wife 3 times I wasn't going to live. And here I am 27 years later, and my little 2-year-old grandson just left me a little while ago. And there's one of the happiest days of my life when he was born. So anyway, those are some of the things that I have during your conversation. Guys, I'll tell you what, the comments are outstanding. You're doing an outstanding job, just as I thought you would. And so those are some of the things I thought. Amy Lee, do we have any other questions, or is it time to wrap up?
Yeah, let's get to a couple more questions. I know we're at an hour, but there's a couple things that I would love to just get your take on, LeeAnne and Ryan.
Okay.
So this is from Denise. She was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, had a hysterectomy, ended up with a colostomy. She's had many emotional challenges, but feels like she's in a good place. She's back to running and lifting weights. She wants to know specifically if you have any suggestions for what to do with help with sweat when you're exercising. So I know Ryan talked a little bit about this. You struggled with getting hydrated and staying hydrated, but I think talking about a special system that she wears.
Sorry.
I don't wear a special system when I'm exercising. I just wear the products that I've worn for quite a long time. I had the same thing. I had a full hysterectomy. I ended up in a colostomy. I wear a 2-piece. It's just what works for me. And so I, again, will wear the 2-piece, make sure it's empty, and then wear my gym clothes. And again, I'm doing hot yoga first thing in the morning. And if you follow me on Insta, I'm probably going to show you a picture of me with my red face, right? So coming out of yoga, being all hot and sweaty. It depends on what products you're using that fit for you. I come home and I change and I have to wipe down the bag, right? Wipe down the flange because the sweat's there, and but it stays on. The products that I use, they stay on for me. So I don't do anything special for that. And I wanted to get back to one thing that Steve had said about pancaking and wearing Spanx and pancaking. I found that lubricant really, really helps. And then again, if I start to feel something, I'll loosen up the top of my pants. Like I'll just pull them away and I'll let my stoma do its job. And the lubricant will help it slide down the pouch. So I just had to touch on that.
Awesome.
Those of us with ileostomies don't have that issue.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Another thing you could do is a little extra adhesive tape around the outside. I think they call it the picture frame technique. That
window framing.
A little, frame.
And all the manufacturers have different products that they have.
That's right.
I happen to have one favorite, but again, I won't mention. But they're all three of the companies have them, and experiment and try which one seems to work best for you, just like with the appliances. So.
Yep, exactly.
A question that we had on our pre-submitted questions from our registration was a general theme was, how do you tell someone for the first time about your ostomy? What does that look like? There was a couple people asking specifically in a dating scenario. I don't know, Ryan, if you dated.
Sure, I guess I deal with this still in my life. Okay, so I talked about it, I guess, nonstop, but just being comfortable in your own skin and confident. And I think ultimately that's going to let you decide when you tell someone. On my dating profile, it's not on there. It's not like, oh, I'm a Crohn's patient. But I have, a picture of like volunteering with kids, or I think even one of the slides I have, something about IBD. But that's up to you. Same with your social media. How open you want to be on a profile, whether it be a dating profile or a social media profile, is your power to give and receive. And for me, I guess, since the question is specifically about dating and relationships, it's not something it's not something I'm super open about until I've at least, in my mind, I've met them in person. If we match on a site, I will wait till we meet in person, just so I can just get a good vibe out of this person. If I know that they're worth investing time in, or my time in is worth, opening myself up to, basically. Right. But I also, in my dating profile will link my socials, right? But me personally, I'm very open about my Crohn's and my ostomy. And so in my own way, that gives me like, or look, I put the information out there. If someone wants to go look about, wants to look me up or see more about me, they can look on my profile and find out that I'm an advocate for Crohn's or I have an ostomy and things like that. But what I've learned over the years, one is I've far more had positive experiences when I've told people than the experience of when I've told people and they had a negative reaction, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's by far more times been positive, whether it's been someone I'm dating or a work colleague, because more times than not, one, they may either already know or know someone with something like that, and so then for you to be able to trust someone in that relationship and open up yourself, whether it's about an ostomy or something personal in your life or something in your past, I think that's kind of your own guide to how you feel about that person. If they value your time, then give them yourself and open up. And if you're not vibing with them, then like no one's making you, kind of thing. Right. And I always tell people too, like if that's something that they will judge you off of, or there's a turn off for them, or they can't see themselves with you, then like, you don't want to be with that type of person anyway. Again, not that I've not had any of those experiences personally, but again, it's been by far more positive when I've told someone, because that person wants to care about you. They want to be in your life. They want to be able to meet your needs. And so until they know who you really fully are, that's kind of a part of you that they can't kind of be there for. And so that's kind of up to you on when to tell someone. But in my experience, when you're comfortable and when I'm comfortable with them, it's been a positive experience for both of us being able to open up and share that with someone else.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
LeeAnne, do you want to talk about the 30-day challenge?
I do. So guys, we've got some work for you to do, and I hope you play along, right? So we're going to do a 30-day challenge. I know if you have other questions for us, guys, please, we want to know, we want to answer. Ryan and I are open books. We'll tell you anything. You can find us online. If you're on Instagram, there's our handles. Go follow us over there. If you're on Facebook, you can connect with us there too, like wherever the place is. But make sure you're following us and connecting with us, because we're going to challenge you. Remember I said the power outfit. Remember I said the mirror talk. Remember I said I go look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, lady, the voices in your head, you got to calm down. You got to quiet that voice in your head down. So for the next 30 days, I'm going to challenge you all to stop yourself and look at yourself in the mirror. I used to do this with my fitness girls. Again, guys, this is what fitness girls I used to do it with. I used to have them look in the mirror and tell them, and I make them do it naked. Now you can challenge yourself and do that too. Make them look at themselves in the mirror naked and tell themselves how beautiful they are. Now these girls were perfect. So now I do it on the daily, and I teach other people how to do that too. So I want you guys to look at yourself in the mirror. You can do it in your butt, you can do it in nothing, or you can do it in your clothes, whatever makes you more comfortable to begin with. But look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself how beautiful you are, how proud of yourself you are, the positive things that are going on in your life. You might not feel you have something positive going on in your life right now. You might be dealing with something that's horrendous. It doesn't matter. Find one thing that could be positive in your life. Maybe you just drank a really good cup of coffee, whatever that one thing is, but say something positive to yourself. Like, I'm a really good person. I can really make a good cup of coffee, whatever it is. Say something positive to yourself in the mirror. And I want you to tag us on social media. You can put it on your feed if you want. You can put it in your stories if you want. I want you to use the hashtag UOAA Body Talk, because we're talking about positive body talk. We're going to track this. UOA is going to track this. We're going to track this. You're going to, if you want, you can be shared into UOAA social medias. We're going to just keep this thing rolling. So put in the comments if you're going to do it with us. I want to hear the yes, we will. Yes, we want to be a part of it. Because here's the thing. We're then going to build this community of all of us in this big circle around UOA Body Talk. We're going to create this community that's for us. And that is going to pick you up more and more and more. And then we're going to have more people that are just like us to talk to. So I hope you guys are going to do it and play. I know I'm going to. Ryan, you going to play?
Sure. Yeah. Like you said, I think I've said it multiple times, but yeah, the community and the supports that we all can, have, and the more we have with each other and like-minded people, I think like that's the number one reason that we're here talking today. It's outside of physical activity. It's the mental support and physical support from one another and people that have been through it like us. That is the number one outcome of like having some positive change and outlook, is having some support. So the first step is you're paying attention and you're on this call. So you've already found us. Now just like stay involved, ask questions, advocate for yourself, reach out to us after this. You know where to find us, because we're here to help.
Mm-hmm. And I know Amy and Steve, you guys are going to play too, right? Next 30 days, every day.
Absolutely.
Every day, next 30 days. And Ed, Liz, behind the scenes, all of us, we're all going to do it.
Looks like
So
we've
on this same vein,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that I've read on here and I've talked to in the past that have said, I hate this. I hate having this ostomy.
Mhm.
There's a whole heck of a lot of people that are on this call, and a lot of people that have ostomies that would be dead if it wasn't for the ostomy.
Sure.
Mhm.
So UOA is part of our logo is a lifesaver, or is a life preserver, and they are lifesavers.
Mhm.
And I thank my lucky stars. I tell this all the time. I've seen my son graduate from high school, from college, get his master's, and get his PhD. And my daughter, the happiest day of my life was I walked her down the aisle to get when she got married. If I hadn't have lived, which they told her 4 times I wasn't going to, I would have missed all that.
Mhm.
So even though it leaks in there, yeah, I've had my share of swearing at it and, damn it, this will leak and that kind of thing. But it far outweighs the fact that what I would have lost if I hadn't had the surgery. So those of you that are fighting it, yes, there's some challenges. I'm not going to deny that, but it can be worked through, some perseverance. So it's on the same vein of what we're talking about being positive about it, that it's a lifesaver, and it's going to have many more rewards than it's going to have negatives.
Yep. And I say this all the time, and I say it on the podcast all the time. We got a second chance at life. Like, we got a second chance at life, period. And what you do with it is up to you, right? It's up to you what you do with that second chance in life. Are you just going to hinder it? Or are you going to live it out? Like, my whole goal in life is I'm going to leave nothing left on the table. I'm going to give this life my all, everything that I have, all my energy, all my love, all my kindness, all the things that I am. I'm giving it all out. So when I go home, I can hear the words, good and faithful servant. You did it, right? So that's my thing.
Well, it looks like we have April's with us, and Dino Sports Consulting said yes, and Robert said yes, and everybody's into this challenge.
All right.
And Misha and Catherine, and so we've got a lot of great momentum here. So thanks to you both for coming to speak to our group, and this will be on our recording. And then if you have questions that haven't gotten answered, you can reach out to LeeAnne and Ryan directly through their social media. But I think that unless you guys have anything else you'd like to close with, I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say, Steve? All right.
Just thank you to LeeAnne and Ryan. I thought you guys did a great job. The comments have been overwhelming. So thank you so much for doing this. I think you made a great positive influence on everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a pleasure.
So if you liked our Ostomy Academy broadcast tonight and you would be interested in experiencing this face-to-face in person, come join us in August at our national conference. It's going to be held in Orlando, August 14th through the 16th. LeeAnne Hayden is going to be there as one of our speakers. So we're excited to have her, and the registration is open. We have that in the link. If you enjoyed tonight's program and you think that's beneficial for you and the ostomy community, we'd love to have you donate to UOAA. We're a nonprofit organization. And then also another way you can support UOAA is becoming a national member. So lastly, we just wanted to close with thanking our wonderful speakers, LeeAnne and Ryan, and also our behind the scenes experts, Liz Heil and Ed Fuller, and my wonderful co-host and friend, Steve. And that is our program tonight. So we'll see you guys at the next Ostomy Academy in May. Take care.